Something big is changing at Google right now, and most people are still looking at it like it's just another chatbot update. But this goes far beyond chatbots. For the last few years, the AI race has been about one thing: who can answer questions faster, who can sound more human, who can build the smartest assistant. But Google appears to be moving towards something very different, something much bigger. Instead of building systems that simply respond to prompts, the company is building systems designed to take action, systems that can work across apps, systems that can complete tasks, systems that can keep running even when you're not actively using them. And that shift may end up changing far more than search. It could change the structure of the internet itself, because this isn't really a story about chatbots. It's a story about automation, it's a story about infrastructure, and it's a story about what happens when AI stops acting like software and starts acting more like a digital workforce. That's the real shift. For years, most people have interacted with AI in a simple way. You ask a question, the model gives an answer, the interaction ends. Simple. But agent-based systems work differently. They don't just answer, they continue. They can break large jobs into smaller tasks. They can coordinate with other systems. They can gather information. They can wait for new inputs and then continue again, sometimes for hours, potentially even longer. That changes everything, because the infrastructure required to support that kind of behavior is dramatically different from the infrastructure that powers a normal chatbot, and Google seems to understand that. The company recently introduced Gemini 3.5 Flash, a model built with speed as one of its defining characteristics. According to Google's own benchmarks, the model performs strongly across coding and agent-focused tasks while maintaining very low latency. But the benchmark scores aren't the most important part. The important part is what those scores enable, because once a system becomes fast enough and reliable enough, new possibilities emerge. The goal is no longer generating text. The goal becomes executing workflows. And that's where things start getting interesting. Google has been demonstrating tools that allow AI agents to break problems apart and assign portions of those problems to specialized sub-agents. One system analyzes, another researches, another writes, another checks the results. Together, they operate more like a coordinated team than a single model. And some organizations are already experimenting with this approach, using AI not as a tool they occasionally open, but as a system that runs alongside employees throughout the day, quietly working in the background, always available, always processing, always ready for the next task. Pickle's productivity tools, AI is increasingly moving beyond simple assistance. Instead of manually organizing documents, the system can help structure them. Instead of sorting notes, it can help categorize them. Instead of searching through files, it can surface relevant information automatically. The interaction becomes more natural, less clicking, less searching, more directing, more delegating. The software becomes less like a tool and more like an intermediary, a layer that sits between people and the digital world. And if that vision becomes reality, the implications extend far beyond productivity software. They reach into cloud computing, into cybersecurity, into online advertising, into commerce, and ultimately into the economics of the internet itself. Thalim is that none of this comes for free, because agents create a problem that traditional software infrastructure was never designed to solve. A normal application receives a request, processes it, and finishes. An agent doesn't. It may start a task, pause, wait for information, call another service, resume, pause again, and repeat that process countless times. At small scale, that's manageable. At massive scale, it becomes a completely different engineering challenge. Imagine millions of agents operating simultaneously, making requests every second, communicating with tools, accessing data, generating outputs, and coordinating with one another. Suddenly, systems that worked perfectly well for traditional software begin reaching their limits. That's why Google appears to be investing heavily in new frameworks designed specifically for agent execution. The objective is simple: make autonomous systems reliable, make them resilient, and make them scalable. Because if the future really is agent-driven, the infrastructure beneath it has to evolve first. And that's where the story becomes much bigger than AI. Because beneath every breakthrough model, beneath every flashy demo, beneath every futuristic promise, there is a physical reality: servers, networks, cooling systems, electricity, massive amounts of electricity. And as AI workloads continue to grow, so does the demand for all of them. That's one reason Google has announced major infrastructure investments, including large-scale data center development projects in Missouri. These facilities aren't just buildings, they're the physical foundation of the next generation of computing, because every intelligent system ultimately depends on something very simple: power. And lots of it. The more capable the models become, the greater the demand becomes. The more agents run, the more infrastructure is required. The more tasks are automated, the more compute must be available. And that creates one of the biggest questions facing the entire industry. Can the physical world keep pace with the ambitions of the digital one? Because that's the hidden story behind all of this. Not chatbots, not prompts, not viral demos. Infrastructure. The race isn't just about building smarter AI. It's about building the systems that allow smarter AI to exist in the first place. And if Google's vision succeeds, we may look back on this moment as the point where the internet quietly began changing from a place we navigate to a place that navigates on our behalf. And if that happens, the biggest question may no longer be what AI can do for us. The real question becomes, what happens to the rest of the internet when we no longer need to leave the conversation?